රැස්වීදෙන ජීවිතේ.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Charlene Benedict and with me is my co-anchor Zenith Musafa. Good evening, Zenith.
Good evening, Charlene, and good evening to all of our viewers. Let's take a look at our headlines for tonight.
Non-academics continue strike and likely to be joined by more trade unions. 4-member committee appointed to decide on UNP presidential candidate. Askari chapter advises Sajid Premadasa to be patient and fulfill his duties to the nation. Former President Naik says it is better for the SLFP to contest separately. Attorney General tells acting IGP delay in investigations is disappointing.
The strike action launched by the non-academic staff of universities on a number of demands continued for a third day today.
The farmers alleged that about 3,000 families who were settled in the Maoya Devaladeniya region do not have a proper source of water to nourish their farmlands. The group of farmers lost their houses due to the Murugahakanda Reservoir project. Meanwhile, residents of Bogaswavavaunia and Nandamitra village alleged that although the government promised to provide farming lands, they had not been provided with these lands.
It was in 2013 that we were settled down in Bogaswavavaunia, 2,822 families. So promise that was made to those people was that farming lands will be provided. So it was because of that promise that the farmers came there. So when we ask for these farming lands, the response we get is that we have to wait longer.
You can't grow crops on the land because there is insufficient water. The crops that we grow now get destroyed by the Yala season. If you go to this area, you will see that there is not even a strand of grass. We need to work on a farm to feed our children.
We are demanding the ministers to fulfill this promise of providing farming lands of 1.5 acres each to the 2,822 families that were settled here according to the Mahavali scheme.
A group including the national organizer of the All Island Farmers Federation, Nama Karunaratna, met with the State Minister of Environment, Ajit Mana Peruma.
We came to an agreement here to renovate the dried up tanks in a manner that does not affect the forests. We scheduled a separate discussion on the 2nd of October to address all these issues, chaired by the minister in charge, where all of the relevant officials will be present. Also, the people who are resettled here due to the Moragakanda project have been left helpless today. As a solution to this issue, the officials agreed to provide water to the farmlands of these people by January next year. If this is only limited to an agreement and if the problems of these people are not solved, we will resort to more severe measures to win their rights.
Now, there was a news report on an issue where farmers from Mathale and Vaunia surrounded the Ministry of Mahavali and Environment today. Moving on, still in your local news, the strike action launched by the non-academic staff of universities on a number of demands continued for a third day today.
An issue arose with the salaries of non-academic staff of universities not being increased in line with the increase in salaries of state sector employees. The protest was launched demanding for this salary anomaly to be rectified. Previously, a protest was launched. However, they did not receive a favourable response from the government. Many activities of universities were affected by the protest. A special meeting was held at the Peradeniya University this morning to discuss on the future course of action.
We will accept the responsibility of all employees, including the staff, on contract basis. So everyone contribute to this action.
The Student Council of the Peradeniya University had expressed their support to the strike action launched by the non-academic staff.
The academic activities of the students have come to a halt. Therefore, we ask the rulers of this country to solve these issues and restore the universities back to normalcy.
Meanwhile, a special meeting was held in Colombo between the University Trade Unions Collective and all trade unions of the non-academic staff. The unions pointed out that officials have not taken any step to resolve these issues.
We came into an agreement on stepping up our trade union action in the coming weeks. We are not going to announce these decisions right now. The government and the officials will be able to see these actions in the coming weeks. There needs to be a political solution to this salary anomaly created by the Administrative Services Department and the National Pay Commission. We hope that there will be a satisfactory intervention in this regard. If such a situation is not seen in the coming weeks, we cannot be held responsible for the situation at universities that might arise.
The Teachers and Principals Union points out that the government should intervene to solve the issues faced by teachers and principals.
The Minister of Education had given us the opportunity for a discussion on the 22nd of August. Even when we had already arrived for the discussion, he informed us that the discussions had been called off. He should have rescheduled the discussion due on the 22nd. If he was busy these days, he could have appointed a representative to attend the meeting on his behalf. He has not responded to any of our demands up to date.
Minister Naveendasar Naik revealed that a committee was appointed to take a decision regarding the next presidential candidate from the United National Party.
As a result of the discussions that were held between the leader and the deputy leader, they agreed to appoint a committee. Our leader has appointed Dinesh Veerakodi and Dr. Rajatha Senaratne. Sajid Premadasa has appointed Ranjit Mantuba Bandara and Kabir Hashim. They will study from 4 other social analysts, reports, opinions, polls that were received, and then will come to a decision on who can technically win the election in order to decide the candidate. I don't think that we can come to a decision from such a scientific research. More the research that we have, and especially looking at the Sinhalese and Buddhist votes and the voters based on the United National Party, voter base of the minorities, and considering all bases out of which whom can we expect to have most number of votes has to be the selected candidate.
Minister Naveendasar Naik, as you saw before, pointed out several requirements a potential candidate should possess. Meanwhile, this was the public reception Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajid Premadasa, received during rallies held in several parts of the country in the past few weeks. The Askiri chapter of the Siam sect advised Minister Sajid Premadasa today to serve the country despite all criticism.
The western gateway of the Askiri Mahavihare was offered and vested with the Mahasangha today under the auspices of the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajid Premadasa. Later, the service towards the society and the sasana offered by the minister was appreciated by presenting a token of appreciation.
කාරක මහා සංඝ සභාව විසින් ගරු අමාත්‍ය සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාට දළදා වහන්සේගේ ආශිර්වාදයෙන් හා ශාසනික සමාජ සත්කාරයන් මතුකටත් සිද්ධ කිරීමට තවත් ශක්තිය ධෛර්යය හා චිරජීවනයේ ලැබේවායි ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමින් මෙම සමරුතිලිනය ප්‍රදානය කරන ලද වගයි. මේ වැඩ කරගෙන යනකොට
A lot of criticism from the political sphere will come your way while you serve the nation. Criticism from the party and opposition. You should bear them up with patience and serve the nation. the Sinhala community and the Sasanaya. Speaking about the political situation in the country, the economic issues, the complexity in the present day cannot be avoided. The Venerable Theros are the ones who should provide advice on these matters. However, there is a question as to if the advice of the Mahasangha is being accepted. We know that you won't do anything like that. We believe that you will work as an example in your character and your conduct. You are very active just like your father. Those are very good qualities. You have created a strong way forward with the Honorable Mahasangha and the Mahanayaka Theros to protect the Sambuddha Sasaniya in the country. All of those will devote ourselves to adhere to the advice of the Honorable Mahasangha of the three sects and carry the country forward towards prosperity.
Minister Premadasa also met with the Mahanayaka of the Malwata chapter of the Siam sect and obtained his blessings. On the 31st of March, the minister was honoured for his service towards the Sasana and the society, and he was also vested with the honorary title of Shasana Deepana Abhimani Sri Lanka Janaranjana.
Now, this was the response from Minister Sajid Premadasa when journalists questioned him over the current political situation in the country. He was speaking during his visit to Kandy.
I
have accepted all challenges. However, the challenge right now is to field a candidate from the United National Front for the presidential election. Contesting at a Pradesh Sabha election is not the challenge at present. I would like to clearly state, I am well prepared to fulfill the request of the general public.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga believes it's wise for the SLFP to contest the presidential election alone. Former President Kumaratunga today declared open the renovated Kithu Koladeniya Vava in Nitambua. The renovation was done under the Gamperlia program.
What connection does it have to the Vava? I am not contesting, so I am not interested. I believe it is wise for the party to put forward a separate candidate. You can see how the people support it. Even though we lose, we need to retain the votes to win the next time. It is going on. First they want a vote to drive away the SLPP and now they want to cling on to them. Since we wish to come back to power, we do not have such policies. I am not a supporter of that.
Are the backbench MPs supporting the Podujara Peramuna ready to contest in the presidential election under a different symbol? Responding to journalists, the MPs had this to say.
If the Pohotua symbol is being removed, I will personally take a political decision because the Pohotua symbol or the flower bud has become the symbol that the general public is asking for. Personally, we are not ready to change this symbol to the tune of others. We have maintained a flexible stance with regard to the fact that we will take a decision regarding the symbol during the next parliamentary election. However, in the run-up for the presidential election, this has taken a narrow path. If the president has pure intentions to send the UNP government home, we have no issue with whatever the decision that is taken during discussions. There was some sort of an understanding when the Prime Minister was appointed. However, we are negatively affected by this as well.
Anura Kumara Dissanayake, the presidential election candidate of the National People's Power Movement, addressed the working masses in Colombo this morning.
ලාංකීය වැඩිතර නිලධාරිගේ උණුසුම් සහෝදරත්වයේ මැද උණුසුම්.
Trade union representatives from the National People's Power Movement and representatives from the Janata Vimukti Peramuna were among those present for the event organized by the National Trade Union Centre. A proposal including matter relating to increasing salaries to meet the cost of living, putting an end to the sale of state property and stopping the sale of the East Container Terminal in the Colombo port was passed at this event.
I would never discuss the following matters with Comrade Anura. If I do, he would ask me not to say them. He has been in politics for almost 3 decades and serves as an MP for almost 2 decades. Premadasa Naik has come to the people as the minister of Sri Lanka's largest ministry created post-independence. The people of the country always spoke about Premadasa Naik as the country's former opposition leader and never about Ranil Wickremesinghe. We all love our grandparents. However, the country is saying the grandfathers must leave politics. Mahinda Rajapaksa is a political grandfather. Ranil Wickremesinghe is a political grandfather. Premadasa Naik is the political voice of the youth. He is the desire of the youth generation in this country. Premadasa Naik is the future brand of Sri Lanka. When they say Gota, Roshan Chanaka and Lasantha comes to mind, this is a political brand. When you say Sajid, you think of Hambantota. And you think of him as a person who never spoke a word about the national issue, and you think about the houses created like a chicken coop. When you say Ranil, you recall the central bank. Whenever you see Ranil's name, you think about the central bank bond scam. A loss of 28 million rupees was caused because money was invested in the companies of associates when they were falling apart in the stock market in the 4-year period between 2008 and 2012. Bonds were purchased from Perpetual Treasuries Limited from the secondary market when bonds could have been purchased from the central bank directly. The loss to the EPF from the infamous 2015 bond scam is 20,000 million rupees. We need to work together and build a new form of governance. We need to protect the Provident Fund and develop it, and I assure you the duty of providing you with necessary services will be met. I assure you our governance will provide social security to all the people, not only the private and public sectors, but in all the sectors.
Several political parties announced their candidates for the upcoming presidential election.
The Democratic United National Front, which will contest under the eagle symbol, announced today that Aryavansha Dissanayake will be fielded as the party's candidate for the upcoming presidential election. We have decided to field a candidate from our party for the 2019 presidential election. Aryavansha Dissanayake will contest the upcoming presidential election under the symbol of the eagle. The newly formed Sama Samaja Party, founded by Dr. Vikramabahu Karunaratne, named Bedagani Nandamitra as their presidential candidate today. Our party is announcing its presidential candidate to pave the way for a much clearer path for our political journey and not to obtain votes.
We're going in for a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more on the other side.
සෞන්දර්ය කලාව කියන්නේ අපේ ආත්මයත් එක්ක බැඳුණු දෙයක්. හිතේ බුංගසේනා කිපීරොන් මාතින් සවිමා. ඔයාලා දන්නවද මං කවුද කියලා?
Abhiman Varam, empowering the dreams of the next generation.
Main sponsor.
Anchor Kiri, Edat, Adat, Hetat, Hondamade Pamanai.
Welcome back to the news. Presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, attended the wedding ceremony of MP Nama Rajapaksa today. The event was also attended by members of the MP's family and many other guests. Nama Rajapaksa tied the knot with Limini Veerasinghe.
The Court of Appeal today ordered to discharge the accused, including Gotabaya Rajapaksa, from the case over the Avant-Garde floating armoury incident. Today, an appeal on the matter filed by Gotabaya Rajapaksa was considered by Justices Achala Vegapuli and Arjuna Besekara.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa filed a petition challenging the case filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of fraud and corruption over the Avant-Garde floating armoury. It noted the case filed at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court was done without written approval from the Commissioners of the Bribery Commission. The Court of Appeal, considering facts, issued an interim injunction preventing any further action from being taken regarding the case filed at the Magistrates Court. The court added if there is sufficient evidence against the suspects, the Bribery Commission reserves the right to file a case in a proper manner. Earlier, Gotabaya Rajapaksa filed a petition with the High Court and it was rejected. However, today the Court of Appeal issued an order making the High Court order invalid. The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption filed a case against 8 people, including Gotabaya Rajapaksa, accusing them of causing a loss of 11.4 billion rupees to the government by permitting Avant-Garde Maritime Services to operate a floating armoury.
Attorney General Dappula Dilivera informed Acting IGP CD Vikramaratne the delay in submitting investigation reports on the abduction and assault on journalist Keith Noya is disappointing.
The Attorney General urged the Acting IGP to investigate the Criminal Investigations Department's delayed probe into journalist Keith Noya's abduction case. In a letter to Vikramaratne, Attorney General Dappula Dilivera noted a letter was sent to the CID on July 18th instructing further investigations into the incident. However, he pointed out the CID had not reported back to the AG's department for nearly 2 months in order to obtain legal advice to proceed with the case. Attorney General Dappula Dilivera in his letter said the probe into the abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noya is one which had caught local and international attention.
2 people who suffered burn injuries from the fire which broke out in the evidence storage at the Kekirawa District Court this afternoon were hospitalized.
The fire broke out in the upper floor of the 2-story building used to store evidence. Two units from the Dambulla Fire Brigade were called in to douse the fire. As the battle with the flames continued even after an hour, the Anuradhapura Fire Brigade rushed to the scene. With the assistance of the military, the fire was contained after 2 hours. Two employees engaged in maintenance operations were rushed to the Kekirawa Hospital for burn injuries and were then transferred to the Anuradhapura General Hospital. Hospital sources said that their injuries are not in a serious condition. Our correspondent said that the fire resulted in cases taken up at the court premises being delayed. The cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained.
Convening a media briefing today, parliamentarian Dr. Naveendasar Rajapaksa made a revelation.
මට තියෙන තොරතුරු අනුව මේ මාසේ රජයේ සේවකයින්ගේ පඩි ගෙවා ගන්න විදියක් නැතුව
Based on the information I have, the government treasury does not have sufficient funds to pay the salaries of state employees and is begging for funds from banks and other financial institutions. Their letters of requests have been presented to the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission. The TRC has some money. At this point, the Finance Ministry has requested for 10 billion rupees from the TRC to pay the salaries of state sector employees. The country has fallen into such a desperate situation.
ආණ්ඩුවේ සේවකයින්ට පඩි ගෙවා ගන්න ක්‍රමයක් නැහැ කියලා. ඒ තත්ත්වයට රට වැටිලා තියෙනවා.
While Vijayadasa Rajapaksa revealed that the government is struggling to source funds to pay public sector wages, Action TV tonight reveals of yet another tax scam.
A presidential commission of inquiry was established in 2017 to inquire into the infamous central bank bond scam that took place in 2015 and 2016. Along with this, the activities of perpetual treasuries owned by Arjuna Aloysius was suspended. However, certain companies under this group are still active. The alcohol manufacturing company WM Mendes is one of them. Arjuna Aloysius took over the ownership of this company in 2013. The company, which is still owned by Arjuna Aloysius, has evaded paying a sum of 820 million rupees due in taxes to the Excise Department, as there is a provision that stipulates that the tax amount needs to be paid in full. The Excise Department has been able to suspend the activities of W.M. Mendes. However, the most pressing issue is that the company W.M. Mendes has evaded paying the value-added tax and nation building tax for the years 2018 and 2019. The value of the tax amount evaded stands at 200 million rupees, while the total amount due to be paid by W.M. Mendes, including the fine for evading the payment of taxes, is 4,600 million rupees. The Inland Revenue Department has received a petition against this company evading the payment of taxes.
We're going in for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned for more on the other side.
ගමේ තියෙන සම්පත් ටික උපයෝගී කරගෙන සේවාවක් කරන්න තමයි මම කල්පනා කරේ.
බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ හරිත වෙළඳ සංකීර්ණය කියන concept එක.
මගේ ව්‍යාපෘති නම තමයි වැව් සුද්දා. මම මේක ආරම්භ කරන්නේ 2035 2030 වගේ වර්ෂයවලදී කියන්නේ එක ඒකකයක රුපියල් 42ක් අපිට බජට් එක කරන්නේ.
ඉක්මනටම හලවි කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා හිතනවා.
දුව දරුවනේ ඔබ මතක තියාගන්න. ඔබේ ජීවිතය වෙනස් කරන්නේ එකම එක සිතුවිල්ලක් පමණක් වගේ.
Abhiman Varam, empowering the dreams of the next generation.
Main sponsor Anchor Kiri Edat Adat Hetat Hondama De Pamanai.
Welcome back to the news. Speaking exclusively to News First, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, said the proposed Monetary Law Act will strengthen stability in monetary policy.
The government is currently in the process of introducing a new law governing the central bank in place of the current Monetary Law Act number 58 of 1949. Speaking to News First, the governor said the proposed law will strengthen financial stability in the country.
Whenever the government had fiscal indiscipline and was short of money, it forced the central bank to print money. If it's effectively printing money, it causes inflation. Some of that money leaks into the imports and puts pressure on the balance of payments. The worst thing that a central bank can do is to print money, buy treasury bills from the government in the primary auction. So what the proposed new Monetary Law Act does is, proposition is that the central bank, by law, should be prevented from participating in the primary auction for treasury bills, i.e. it should not print money. It should be prevented from printing money. It would be a significant improvement in our monetary policy formulation.
Now, still in your local news, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had forwarded the extradition request of the government of Sri Lanka for the extradition of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran to the Sri Lankan High Commission in Singapore.
State Counsel Nishara Jayaratne, the coordinating officer to the Attorney General, said the High Commission would direct the request to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Singapore. President Maithripala Sirisena, in his capacity as Defence Minister, signed more than 21,000 papers to extradite former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran from Singapore. The Sri Lankan court had issued warrants for the arrest of Mahendran over the Central Bank Treasury bond scam.
The Prime Minister, who said he cannot appear before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today, attended a series of other events.
The Prime Minister was accompanied by Minister Rishad Badiuddin for the 75th anniversary celebrations of the Erukalam Pitti Muslim Central College in Mannar. The Prime Minister declared open a smart classroom and a new sports ground at the school. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was requested to appear at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry today regarding the building in Rajagiriya which was leased for the Ministry of Agriculture. However, the Prime Minister had informed via his secretary that he cannot attend the Commission sitting today. The Prime Minister is requested to appear before the Commission on the 16th of September.
Japan has provided 1 billion yen, approximately 1.6 billion rupees, to Sri Lanka to assist in strengthening counter-terrorism measures in the aftermath of the April 21st attacks.
The Ministry of Finance, in a statement, said that the grant has been given under the Japanese government's non-project grant aid scheme. The scheme is for the provision of the necessary equipment to strengthen the capacity of Sri Lanka's police and airport and aviation services limited on counter-terrorism activities. Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga, Secretary to the Finance Ministry, and Akira Sugiyama, Japanese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, signed the agreement on behalf of both governments.
The Anuradhapura Archaeological Museum, that was closed for more than 4.5 years for renovation activities, was vested with the public today.
The renovation activities were jointly funded by the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation and the Central Cultural Funds of the Ministry of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs. Renovation activities were carried out by the Sri Lanka Army. The event was attended by the U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Elena B. Teplitz, the Director General of Archaeology, Professor P.B. Mandavala, and the Secretary to the Ministry of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs.
The Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation, or AFCP, is one way that the United States supports Sri Lanka's efforts to preserve its culture and its sovereignty. We are happy to note that experts from the Metropolitan Museum of Arts in New York City have trained the Department of Archaeology conservation staff to apply preventive conservation treatment to important objects since 2016.
According to a World Bank study, rising temperature levels in South Asia could reduce income levels in Sri Lanka by more than 10% in the coming decades.
According to a World Bank study, high temperature extremes have become more prevalent and will likely worsen as severe heat waves are expected to be more frequent. Around 800 million South Asians, almost half of the region's population, live in geographical areas that will experience fewer crop yields, worse health outcomes and declining productivity. The study warns that South Asia, which covers just over 3% of the world's land area and home to a quarter of its population, will be affected by the steadily rising temperatures in the years to come. The World Bank said South Asia's average temperatures in the region are projected to increase between 1.5 and 3 degrees Celsius by 2050 relative to 1981 to 2010 if little or no action is taken to curb carbon emissions. As temperatures rise, living standards will decline further, with incomes dropping by 14.4% in Bangladesh, 9.8% in India and 10% in Sri Lanka as early as 2050.
The Sri Lankan delegation attending the 42nd session of the UNHRC in Geneva said that Sri Lanka's national commitment and resolve to make continued progress remain strong despite constraints.
Accepting the OMP's recommendation, families of the missing with a certificate of absence will be eligible to monthly allowance from October 2019. A sum of rupees 500 million has been earmarked in the 2019 budget to support families of the missing and disappeared persons. Mr. President, as we proceed on our path, we urge this Council to accord due recognition to the gains made by Sri Lanka amidst numerous challenges.
The Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited made a $36.6 billion unsolicited offer yesterday to acquire the London Stock Exchange.
In early trading in Hong Kong today, Hong Kong stock exchanges stock fell 3%, wiping about $1 billion in share capital from the company, which runs the world's fourth largest equity market by turnover. However, foreign media reported that the Hong Kong Stock Exchange's bid for the London Exchange was rejected amid doubts about political risk and deal structure, according to the people briefed on the offer. Economists have raised concerns over the bid as the Chinese government is the largest shareholder of the Hong Kong Exchange, with the right to name 6 of its 13 board members. The proposal comes at a critical juncture for the global exchange industry as well as for Hong Kong and the UK politically.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight. I'm Charlene Benedict.
But Charlene, before we leave, Jack Ma, the previous CEO of Alibaba, performed You Raise Me Up with his successor Daniel Zhang at the company's 20th anniversary party in eastern China. We leave you tonight with some of the footage of the 4-hour celebration in an 80,000 capacity stadium. Good night.
And I'm down and oh my Sussuari.
The video filmed at the Yellow Dragon Sports Centre shows Jack Ma in a punk-style outfit singing the song made famous by Westlife with Alibaba's new chairman Daniel Zhang on the stage.
I must do and we hear in the silence.
Daniel Zhang succeeded Jack Ma as Alibaba's chairman on Tuesday.
You raise me up to more than